Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swami Ne Tapaharine. Om. Good morning, dear devotees. So we have been learning, studying the life of Swami Vivekananda. We have seen how to re-establish the spiritual practices, to re-establish the entire spiritual heritage of humanity, and to revive Sanatana Dharma, to revive India, which is the cradle of Sanatana Dharma. The Lord came again, as several times before, and he brought along with him Swami Vivekananda to help in his mission. And the whole life of Swami Vivekananda it's a great drama. It's almost, you can say, scripted by the mighty hands of Almighty. He was born in an aristocratic family, got the best of the education, Eastern and Western, the exposed to the traditions through Sri Ram, earlier through his mother and later through Sri Ramakrishna. And then after spending almost 4.5 years at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna, so he came to Sri Ramakrishna in December 1881, and around the end of 1885, October, Sri Ramakrishna started developing cancer, and in August 1886, he passed away. Before dropping his body, he transferred all his powers to Naren. He had instructed Naren to take care of the boys, to the monastic, the future monastic disciples, and he had taught all these young boys a huge amount of spiritual legacy he had left behind with them. He had taught them very closely, guided them very closely, and day in and day out he had spent so much time for several years with these young boys, training them, and he finally handed over all of them to Naren as the leader, and told Naren to take care of them and not to let them go back to their houses, and the whole thing would become scattered. Like the cloud, a rain-bearing cloud, just before raining, if winds come and scatters the cloud away, then the whole thing would be a waste. So Sri Ramakrishna had given instructions to Naren, asking him to be the leader and keep all these boys together and take them ahead. So that was the instruction, and he had also told all the boys that Naren is their leader and asked them to listen to him. So that way, Sri Ramakrishna had formed the monastic order, and even when they were in Kasipur, there was one devotee who had bought many sets of Gerua cloth to be distributed to sannyasis, and he said he is going to Varanasi to distribute these clothes to sannyasis there. And Sri Ramakrishna told him, "Why do you want to go to Varanasi? See, here these boys are there. What better sannyasis you will find than these boys?" And that devotee, he agreed, and he brought the Girua cloth, the sets of Girua cloth to Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna distributed a Girua cloth and a Japamala to each of these young boys, and thus, in a in a way, he gave sannyasa to all these boys by his own hands, though not formal with the rituals and all that, but then in spirit, Sri Ramakrishna had given them all Girua cloth. And after his passing away, let us see how the story unfolds. So now Sri Ramakrishna is a living phenomena. Rama is not dead. Krishna is not dead. Even today, anyone can worship Sri Rama, Sri Krishna, have the vision of the Lord, and take guidance. And of course, Ramayana, Gita are there as the words of Rama and Krishna, the teachings are there. But even beyond the teachings, they are present in the subtle form. And there have been so many saints, devotees, thousands of them, that whenever, like whoever does the sadhana, they have appeared. And Sri Ramakrishna is no different from them. He himself has declared that the same person who came as Rama and Krishna has come as Sri Ramakrishna now. And Sri Ramakrishna had mentioned that if a person prays to the Lord with full of love and longing and cries to the Lord 3 days and 3 nights continuously, then the Lord has to appear. He will appear before that person. This is something which in the gospel Sri Ramakrishna had mentioned. And interestingly, after Sri Ramakrishna's passing away, there was one person who had come from a distant place. He had heard about Sri Ramakrishna, that he was living in Dakshineshwar. And hearing that, he had walked all the way and he had come to Dakshineshwar. And by the time he came here, he came to know that Sri Ramakrishna had passed away already. And he was very, very upset, and he immediately burst out crying. And he stayed in the Dakshineshwar temple, and people showed him this is where he used to do tapasya, the Panchavati, where he used to do tapasya. And he stayed around the Panchavati area, and he was crying, crying, crying. People asked him to eat. No, he didn't sleep. He was so full of sorrow that he had come late and he was not able to see Sri Ramakrishna. And on the third day, people saw that this sadhak, this sadhu who had come, he was cheerful. He was taking prasad at the temple. And then people asked him, "Why you are crying so much? We thought you will give up your body. What happened? Like now you seem to be happy and you are eating prasad. Have you given up your desire to see Thakur?" And he said, "No, I have seen Thakur. I saw him. He appeared to me. he talked to me just like how I'm talking to you now. I talked to him, and whatever doubts I had, whatever I wanted, I asked him. He answered, and then we just had a conversation just like what we are having now. And after that, when he was sure that I was satisfied, he vanished. So this happened in Dakshineshwar temple very soon after Sri Ramakrishna's passing away. And we saw how he appeared to Holy Mother and asked her not to remove her bangles. And also a week after Sri Ramakrishna's death, passing away, like Naren had a vision of the master. So that way, like the direct disciples, everyone were having visions of Sri Ramakrishna. His presence was continuously felt. So it was just that he is not present physically, but he is available uh, in a subtle form. And that is true even today. He is not gone. And even today, there are lots of people who are having visions of Sri Ramakrishna. And his hand, his mind is felt tangibly present today. So he's not gone. He's just that he's around in a much more powerful way, in a much more subtle way, and always accessible to all of his devotees and disciples. And after the cremation of the master, there was a dispute between the householder disciples and the monastic disciples. We'll continue to call them as monastic disciples, even though they had not taken formal sannyasa. But anyway, Sri Ramakrishna had given them Girva, so we can call them as monastic disciples. So between his householder disciples and monastic disciples, about who will take care of the ashes of Sri Ramakrishna. The householder disciples said that you people don't have even a house. How will you be able to take care of it? So you give it to us, we will take care of it. And Ramchandra Datta had built a garden for doing tapasya in Kankurgachi. It's called Yogodhyan Mutt today. So in Kankurgachi, he had built a place, and he said he will keep the ashes of Sri Ramakrishna there, and eventually make that place available for meditation and continue the legacy of Sri Ramakrishna. But then the monastic disciples, they felt they are much closer to Sri Ramakrishna, and they did not want to give away the ashes. They wanted to keep it and worship it. So eventually, they split it into two. Initially, without the knowledge of the householder disciples, the monastic disciples split it into two and transferred much of the relics into another container, and they took it and they kept it with them, and the rest of it was taken by the household disciples to Kankurgachi Mutt. And so these relics were worshipped by them. Now Sri Ramakrishna passed away in August, and the house rent was paid up to end of August. So now the householder disciples did not plan to renew the rent. So September 1886, they were wondering what to do, where to go. They had now the house will be gone, and the monastic disciples were left without any place to stay. Some of them, Tarak, Latu, they had already left their houses, so they were did not have any other place to go. And Sri Ramakrishna had told Naren that to ensure that all these boys don't go back home and get back into worldly life. So they were wondering what to do. And at this time, Surendranath Mitra, whom we have seen, his house was opposite to Swamiji's house. So he stepped in. He said he had been paying the rent for the Kasipur house, and he had been giving a monthly amount for the upkeep and for the treatment and for the living expenditure of Sri Ramakrishna. And he was willing to continue and give that amount to the boys if they were sticking together in the name of Sri Ramakrishna. And this came as a big relief. And with this assurance of support from Surendranath Mitra, they were looking for a place to stay. And it was very costly in multiple places. So finally, they found this building in Baranagur. It was half dilapidated. Half of the building was broken. Half of the building was intact. And also, people had it was people had a belief that this place was haunted, so no one would dare live here. So anyway, this will not go for rent at all. No one would be. No one was. It was lying vacant for a long time, and the owner of the building was willing to rent it out because anyway he could anyway not rent it out to anyone else. So he gave it to these boys at a very low rent, and they were happy. And they were not worried about that it being a haunted house. They said, "We are the demons of Shiva. We are the Bhutaganas of Shiva. And one more Bhuta joining us, we don't mind." So they were not worried about the house being haunted. So they moved into this house, and the ground floor was fully dilapidated, with full of overgrown trees and plants and everything, and jackals there, and it was pretty bad. And the first floor was fine, reasonably, and they settled on the first floor. They started living there, and this place they lived for 6 years here, and after that they moved to Alam Bazar Mutt, and then after that to uh, Nilambar Mukherjee's house, and then after that finally to Belur Mutt. So this is the place where it started, and today this building has been taken over by Ramakrishna Mutt and fully renewed, and it looks like a very beautiful building today. But this is the old photograph of how it was at that time. And the uh, the monastic disciples, they stayed together, led a life of severe austerities, and spent all their time in meditation and singing bhajans, reading. And the a significant role was played by Shashi Maharaj, Swami Ramakrishnananda. So he kept he the urn, the pot containing Sri Ramakrishna's relics. He did puja to that every day and offered prasad, naivedya, and he continued to keep the memory of Sri Ramakrishna alive. So with the picture and the urn, they used to call it as Atmarama, and that was kept and as a living presence of Sri Ramakrishna. And he ensured that every day food was cooked and all these people ate, because they were all these monastic disciples. They were so much into serious spiritual life, and they wanted to just meditate from morning to evening. They did not worry about food, and it was Ramakrishna Shashi Maharaj, who used to uh, force them to eat, Just eat and then continue your meditation. And he used to pull them out of meditation, make them eat, and then he took care of all these boys like a very loving mother. And he so he was very instrumental in for these people to be able to sustain in that house. And so I'll just read from the book. Each had two pieces of loin cloth, and there were some regular clothes that were worn by turns when anyone had to go out. So basically, they had decent clothes, only one or two sets they had, and everyone else they had just two sets of loin cloth with which you cannot go out. So they lived in the mud, and whoever has to go out, they used to take the common uh, the kurta and dhoti and those available and go out. And if anyone else had to go out, they have to wait for that person to come back and return back the clothes. Then the next person can go out. That was a kind of poverty and meagerness in which they lived. They slept on straw mats spread on the hard floor. Few pictures of saints, gods, and goddesses hung on the walls, and some musical instruments were lying here and there. And they had a library containing about 100 books. So just imagine, they had a library of 100 books, they had musical instruments, but they did not have even enough clothes to wear. And this shows what their priorities were, right? Now, Narendra did not want the brother disciples to be pain hugging, cross grained ascetics. They should be they should broaden their outlook by assimilating the thought currents of the world. He examined with them the histories of different countries and various philosophical systems, Aristotle and Plato, Kant and Hegel, together with Shankaracharya and Buddha, Ramanuja and Madhva, Chaitanya and Nimbarka, were thoroughly discussed and analyzed. The Hindu philosophical systems of jnana, bhakti, yoga, karma each received a due share of attention, and their apparent contradictions were reconciled in the light of Sri Ramakrishna's teachings and experiences. The dryness of discussion was relieved by devotional music. There were many moments too when the inmates indulged in light-hearted and witty talk, and Narendra's bon mots on such occasions were always convulsed them with laughter. But he would never let them forget the goal of the monastic life, the complete control of the lower nature and the realization of God. So this is how they lived in Baranagar. Barely anything at all, so just enough to survive, and full of high thoughts, discussing religion, philosophy, meditation, doing meditation, singing bhajans. So complete life of renunciates and severe austerities. That is what they spent their time with. And during this time, Babura Maharaj, Swami Premananda, his Babura Maharaj's mother invited these boys to Antpur, their ancestral village, and to spend a few days there. So many of them went there, and one night in outside under a tree, they lit a dhuni, just like how sannyasis do typically. And Swami Vivekananda Naren talked to them about the ideals of monastic life and how it is important to pursue God and serve man. So, in the light of Sri Ramakrishna's teachings, so he talked to them, and all of them were full of vairagya renunciation. And at that time, at the Duni, they took the vow of sannyasa, and they meditated throughout the night in front of the Duni. And later they came to realize that it was the Christmas Eve. And and then they came back to Baranagur, continued spiritual austerities, and every day worship was done to the master's image, and Aratrikam was done. And in those days, the Arati song was Om Jai Jagadisha Hare, which is the same. The Kashi Vishwanath Temple's Arati was that Arati song was what was used. And later Swamiji composed the Khandana Bhava Bandhana, which we use now. And Ramakrishna Sashi Maharaj, he played a key role. He was taking care of monastery and festivals like Shivaratri, and they were all followed. And the householder disciples used to come occasionally and discuss with them and go back. So this is how it was there. And uh, and then after that, they did the Vraja Homa and took formal sannyasa according to the tradition. That also was done, and each of them took a monastic name. And yeah, so then the whole life was spent in meditation, prayer. And then after some time, yeah, so they were yeah, and whole thing was financially supported by Surendranath Mitra, like we have seen him before. So this is how they lived. And just as any other Hindu sannyasi, like they wanted to roam around without any uh, shelter, without staying in one place for some time, completely depending upon the grace of the Lord for food and stay. And many of them started to make pilgrimages. Some of them were already had gone for long pilgrimages, and some of them used to make short trips and come back. And Naren also felt so. So he went initially to Vaidyanath, Shimultala, Antpur, and then the first real pilgrimage was to Varanasi. So he went and stayed for about a week, and then visited various places, and then he came back. And slowly he was getting exposed to the general life of India. And during this time in Varanasi is when we all no, I think it was the next visit to Varanasi. But anyway, I will tell the story. Like, so once Vivekananda was walking near the Hanuman temple. So even today, if you go to Varanasi, there is this uh, Hanuman temple, and near the Tulsi Manas Mandir. Like they are both very close to each other. So Tulsi Manas Mandir is where Tulsidas stayed and wrote Ramcharit Manas, the place where he wrote, and that is a beautiful display of Ramayana is there. And near the Tulsi Manas Mandir, there is this Hanuman temple, very very popular temple. And so there, near that temple, when Swamiji was there, like he was walking, and some the huge monkeys are there. They started chasing him, and he started running, and they continued to chase him. And at that time, there was another sadhu who was watching this, he shouted, "Face the brutes! Don't run, face the brutes!" And Swamiji immediately stopped. He turned back, and he uh, once he started facing, and then he showed signs as if he was going to beat them, and they ran away. And this is something which he uses this illustration to tell that you don't run away from problems. Nothing can be achieved by running away from problems. You have to face the brute. Right? And in fact, actually, there are two types of animals. One are predators, the other one are prey. Right. So the predator animals like lion or uh, in, any or even dog or this bears or now these animals they are predators. So if you run, then their instinct of hunting will get triggered and they'll start chasing you. So any predator animal, never run away from it, because it will only start hunting, thinking that you are its prey. So you should always face them. And so if you face them boldly, and if you uh, if you fight back with them, then they will understand that you are not its prey, and they will go away. Whereas there are these other animals which are prey animals. They, if you face them, then they will start becoming aggressive and defensive. Whereas if you run away from them, then they will not disturb you. So yeah, there's a psychology of animals, different kinds of animals, and it is built into the system for some animals to chase if you run, and for some animals to uh, go away if you don't disturb them. So anyway, so here, so Swamiji learned a lesson that running away from problems will only make situations worse. Any problem you have to face headlong and solve them. So that is something which happened in Varanasi. And then after that, he again went. So first he went to Varanasi, came back, and after that he again started on a pilgrimage. He visited various pilgrimage sites: Ayodhya, Lucknow, Agra. He saw the Taj Mahal. Then went to Vrindavan, saw all the places related to Krishna. And near Vrindavan, in Brajbhumi, there is this place called Hathras, where he met Sharat Chandra Gupta. He was the the master of the station master of Hathras railway station. And in those days, very, very respectable job, because much of the British trade was happening through the railways and the ships. So the railways were used to pump out the raw materials from all over India to the harbors, and from the harbors they were sent out in ships to England, where it was converted into finished materials, products, and then it was brought back and sold in India as back again through ships and trains as finished products. And so the railway network was a very, very crucial line for the financial uh, transactions of the British. So the railway workers were very, very, it was an important position at that time. And being a station master at Hathras was a very lucrative job and respected all over the town. And when Sharat Chandra Gupta wanted to become Swamiji's disciple, Swamiji asked him, "Can you beg on the streets of Hathras?" And he said, "Yes, I will do." And he uh, became Swamiji's disciple. He begged on the streets of Hathras, where everyone knew him, and as a station master, and now as a sadhu, he begged, and he became very, very close disciple of Swamiji as Swami Sadananda. And so, and also during this time, there was another incident which happened where he was going towards Vrindavan from Agra to Vrindavan on that road where when Swamiji was walking, and on the side, like there was a person who was having some smoke, and Swamiji wanted to, he said like, "Give me a smoke." And that person said like, "No, no, you are a sannyasi. I am a low caste person. I cannot share the smoke with you. It is not acceptable to the society." And Swamiji continued, hearing this, Swamiji continued walking. And then after some distance, then he realized, he said, like, "What am I doing? I am a sannyasi. I have given up all social restrictions, and I should not succumb to social pressure and all this nonsense of caste and all these things don't apply to me." And he walked back, and he convinced that person to give him the smoke, and he had a few puffs just to convince his system that this is something which is not acceptable. So, and then he continued. And what you need to understand is, in those days, smoking was not taboo. Like there was absolutely uh, uh, no one looked down upon smoking in those days. Like it is very different from these days. So we have to be careful in understanding all these things from the social of those days. That is important. Okay. So all these happened, and yeah. So this is Swami Sadananda, the picture which you can see in the top left. Yeah, and yeah, this is the top right. You can see the picture of Swamiji with the monkeys. Yeah. So anyway, and so then Swamiji went to so he along with Swami Sadananda, Sharat Chandra Gupta. Along with him, he traveled to Rishikesh, and like being accustomed to living aristocratic life of a station master, Sharat struggled, and then they stayed, and Swamiji took care of him, and with great love and care, nursed him back to health. And then Naren fell ill with malaria at Rishikesh, and then they were in those days malaria, typhoid. These were deadly diseases. Not much of treatment available like today. So they were seriously Naren fell ill, and then they decided to come back to Hathras to regain their health. And so during these times, Swamiji was guiding Sadananda and to on spiritual life. And then they came back to Baranagar and spent a year, and he guided, and the brother monks taught them various things. And then in December 89, he again went for another pilgrimage. He went to Vaidyanath and wanted to go to Varanasi and stay some time. Now, there is from Varanasi, at Varanasi, he met Pramadadas Mitra, who became his very close friend. He learned Sanskrit, scriptures, a lot of things from Pramadadas Mitra in Varanasi. And after that, he heard that Pavari Baba is staying in Ghazipur. He went there. And Swamiji wanted to become a disciple of Pahari Baba, mainly because Pahari Baba was good in Hatha Yoga, and what Swamiji thought was that to be able to live the life of a sannyasi and to be able to uh, live the hard life, more health is needed, and Hatha Yoga can help. To read from the book, Narendra, at the time of his meeting Pahari Baba, was suffering from severe pain of lumbago, his lower back pain. Naren was suffering from, and this had made it almost impossible for him either to move about or sit in meditation. Further, he was mentally distressed, for he had heard the illness of Abhedananda, another of his brother disciples, who was at the time living in Rishikesh. And so basically, what he found was many of the disciples were facing a lot of health issues. So he wrote to Brahmadas Mitra, "You know not, sir," he wrote to a friend, "that I am very soft-natured man in spite of the stern Vedantic views I hold. And this proves to be my undoing. For however I may try to think only of my own good, I begin in spite of myself to think of other people's interests." Naren wished to forget the world and his own body through the practice of yoga and went for instruction to Pavari Baba, intending to make the saint his guru. But the Baba, with his characteristic humility, put him off day to day. So Naren's main intention of learning Hatha Yoga from Pavari Baba was to uh, develop strength of body so that you can do lot of austerities. But Sri Ramakrishna was uh, against this. Like even when in Dakshineshwar, he had even you can find in the gospel that Hatha yogis spend so much of attention on the body, which is not good. So because ultimately, what are you trying to do is you are trying to forget the body and establish ourselves as pure consciousness. And giving too much attention to the body as the Hatha Yoga, the Yogasanas, these uh, initially, okay, yes, a minimal amount of it might help the person to get better health so that they can lead a healthy life, by which they can forget the body because only a healthy body can be forgotten easily. A diseased body is difficult to forget. So, for that reason, there is a small amount of benefit of Hatha Yoga and the Yogasanas, all these things. But beyond that, Sri Ramakrishna himself had found that there are several uh, sadhakas who have lost their way by too much of focus on the body through Yogasana and Hatha Yoga and all this Dauti, Nauli, and various mudras, kriyas, and bandhas, all these things. So he was against these. And so when Swamiji wanted to learn these from Pavari Baba, Sri Ramakrishna objected. And how did Sri Ramakrishna object? He, he just came, appeared to Swamiji in a vision every day and said, no, no, don't go. So 21 days, Naren, Swami Vivekananda, for 21 days he tried to go to Pavari Baba and learn. And every day Sri Ramakrishna appeared to him and said, like, no, don't. And finally, Swamiji gave up that desire. He understood and he came back. Now, this is a very, very significant thing because number one, like the Ramakrishna tradition is does not support, does not include Hatha Yoga, in the sense that we don't say it is wrong, we don't say it will not work. We say, yes, it is a path, it is a genuine path of spiritual life towards the goal, but it has got, it is more possible that a person might lose the way and gain more body consciousness instead of losing the body consciousness and experiencing and uh, identifying with the pure Chaitanya. The objective of spiritual life is to disidentify from this body and mind and identify as pure consciousness. Now, that is the objective. And whatever meditation being done is to be able to forget this body and forget the mind and go beyond it. Uh, though that was the original intention of Hatha Yoga also, but then it is, there are more distractions than support. So Sri Ramakrishna did not support practicing Hatha Yoga as a spiritual discipline. So, and that is one point to be noted. And another point is the tangible presence of Sri Ramakrishna. Even though he had given up his body, Sri Ramakrishna's presence is there, continues to be there, and he, several occasions, whenever Naren was might be deviating from the path, immediately Sri Ramakrishna appeared and he stopped Vivekananda from doing it. So there are several occasions where he there, like he's there, he appears when needed and guides. So the tangible presence of Sri Ramakrishna is always there. And so then he returned to Varanasi, and then he got the news of Balram Bose passing away. And around the same time, Surendranath Mitra also passed away. And he came back to Calcutta to give solace to the bereaved family. Balram Bose played a very, very significant role in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, the Ramakrishna Order, Holy Mother. So, he's a very, very well-known name for all devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, and very, very important person in Sri Ramakrishna's life and the life of all his disciples and the Ramakrishna Order. And finally, like, he wanted to go to the Himalayas, and already Swami Akhandanandji, he had roamed around in the Himalayas, in Tibet, and all those places in the both the Kumaon region and also the Gadwal region. So, because he was familiar with that, Holy Mother wanted Akhandanandji to accompany Swamiji when Swamiji wanted to go to the Himalayas. So, with the blessings of Holy Mother and under the keeping Akhandanandji as the guide, he went into the Himalayas. And while going into the Himalayas, Swamiji said that he will not return back unless he had the power to burst upon the society like a bombshell and spread the message of Vedanta and be able to imprint upon anyone's mind the truth. So basically, like, he wanted to do severe austerities and gain a very good hold of the truth and gain enough tapasya shakti so that he can serve the society. So with that intention, he went into the Himalayas. And first they went to Bhagalpur, and from there So at Bhagalpur, their hosts were very impressed with Swamiji's knowledge, and so everywhere from now on, if you see how Swamiji is wandering, it always happens. There's a very standard pattern which you can see. So wherever they go, there would be some Bengali people there, like who are well read and who are uh, very intelligent and well read people to whom they would have had an introduction, and they go there. He would go there, stay with that person, and then that person would be very impressed by his knowledge, and Swamiji would be introduced to other uh, people in that town who would be who are also like scholarly and intelligent and such religious and devoted people. And Swamiji would meet them, they would talk, and then with that, slowly the word would go around that a sannyasi has come. And lot of people who have got various doubts in Vedanta, who are with a modern outlook but lot of questions, they would converse with Swamiji in Bengali or Hindi or Sanskrit or English, and and then Swamiji also would uh, interact with the common people and help ask these people to serve the other people, and he used to advise against caste discrimination. So he would talk to all of them, and often that would lead him to be introduced to the divan of the princely state. There are a lot of princely states, more than 600 princely states in India were there, and almost more than one-fifth of the Indian population were under the princely states. And Swamiji found that uh, these small countries were easier to handle to start his spread of the Vedanta than get into the British Empire. British Empire was huge with a lot of process, lot of it was a slow moving engine, and difficult to get access to influential people to make any change to the society. Whereas the princely states, they were all small states, independently governed by princes and the divans who are very well read and who had the material means. And so and the decisions were made locally, not too much of process or complications and asking permission from here and there and all that. So the quick decisions could be made, and quick changes could be made, lasting changes could be made. And so Swamiji felt that these princely states were more conducive to start the work of Vedanta, like, and try out various things. So because they were small and very agile and easy to manage. So that was the reason why mostly Swamiji spent time with these small princely states. But then finally, the establishment of, with all the experience that he had gained with all these small princely states, finally, like, he went and faced the the rest of the India, which was the British Empire, by establishing mutts in Madras and Calcutta. So the princely states were a very fertile ground for Swamiji to try out his ideas, know more about the society, and uh, mainly because they were pretty independently ruled. So that's why, like, during the wandering days, you will find most of Swamiji's life was wandering among the princely states. They were about roughly one-fifth of uh, the India at that time were princely states, and four-fifth was under the British Empire. So he visited there, and from Bhagalpur, uh, they went, and so they went to Varanasi, Ayodhya, and then from there they went to Nainital, Almora. The Nainital and Almora, they are on the Kumaon region of Himalayas, and then they went to Gadwal, Srinagar. This is not the Kashmir Srinagar. There is a Srinagar in Uttarakhand in the Gadwal region. So these are all Gadwal region. Gadwal, Srinagar, Tehri, Dehradun, and then came back to Rishikesh. So this was the journey through the Himalayas, and they lot of interesting things there. And Swami Akhandanandji was accompanying Swamiji, and because he was very familiar with all those regions. And then they came down to from Rishikesh to Meerut, and Swamiji wanted to travel alone. So they came to Delhi from Meerut, and Swamiji wanted to proceed on a solitary monastic life. So he asked his disciples not to follow him, and he went alone. And Swamiji didn't wanted to be he wanted to be a nameless sannyasi, independent. So he used to keep changing his names: Vividishananda, Sachidananda, Vivekananda, so that people in one place, even before the word spreads to the other place, that one great sannyasi by the name Vividishananda had come. But when he goes, the name would have spread. But when Swamiji goes to the next place, he would introduce himself as Sachidananda, and people would not even guess that it is the same person whose name had already reached. And later they would come to know this is the same person who was about whom they had already heard about with a different name. So to have full access to the grassroots level of India, he used to roam around with different names. And so he left on a solitary journey, and he landed up in Alwar. He wanted to Rajasthan. The Rajasthan was full of princely states, and he went to Alwar, stayed with local Bengali scholar gentleman there, and then he got introduced to the Divan, and he got introduced to Mangal Singh, the king of Alwar. So the top picture, that is Mangal Singh, and here is where the a beautiful incident which happened, where Mangal Singh was did not believe in idol worship of God through idols, and he told Swamiji that some brilliant people and well-read people like us should teach the common folks that they should not worship idols, and that is superstition. So, but Swamiji said, like, no, idols, worship of God through idols, that is efficacious. It is a beautiful way of worshipping the Lord, and spiritual progress happens through that. And Mangal Singh said, but it is just paper and wood and stone, and what is this? Why would someone do that? And to make the lesson taught, so Swamiji saw a picture of Mangal Singh on the wall. He asked the Divan to get the picture, and he got that picture. And now he asked the Divan to spit on the picture. He said, like, no, how can I do that? It is our king's picture. Then Swamiji said, like, no, it is just a picture. It is just paper, just some colors on paper. Like, what is wrong? He said, like, no, this is a semblance of our king, and we see our king in this picture. And then he told Mangal Singh, see, this is what it is. So no one worships saying that, oh stone, oh paper, oh wood. They always worship saying, oh God. So even though the symbol of the Lord is made of paper or wood or metal or whatever, but the devotee sees the Lord through the paper or through the picture, through the idol. So it is the Lord who is addressed, it is the Lord who is worshipped. So there is nothing wrong in idol worship. The human mind works that way. The human mind works through symbols, and worship through symbols is a very, very powerful, efficacious, and effective way to transact with the Lord, because that is how the human mind is designed. So this is the practical lesson which Swamiji gave to Raja Mangal Singh. So this happened in Alwar, and it was summer 1891, and Swamiji from Alwar, he went to Jaipur, Ajmer, and then he went to Mount Abu. So Swamiji wanted to see the beautiful temples, the Jain temples at Mount Abu. And also, because it was summer, it was a practice of all the princes of Rajasthan to spend the hot summer in Mount Abu, uh, because it was a cool place, as a summer retreat. So when Swamiji went to Mount Abu, lot of Rajasthani princes were there. Every prince had a bungalow in Mount Abu, and it was every summer all these princes used to come to Mount Abu and stay there. So when Swamiji was at Mount Abu, he had the opportunity to meet several princely uh, uh, people, the princes, and there Maharaja Ajit Singh of Khetri was there, and he was very impressed with Swamiji, and he became a devoted disciple of Swamiji at Mount Abu. And when he was going back to Khetri, he requested Swami Vivekananda to accompany him to his home state of Khetri. And Swamiji agreed. He went with Maharaja Ajit Singh to Khetri, and he spent several weeks there. He was teaching the Maharaja and guiding him on spiritual life. And also, uh, wherever Swamiji went, wherever he stayed, he also studied scriptures, Sanskrit, grammar, so many things from the local people. And in K3, there was the Pandit Narayan Das, from whom he continued his study of the Mahabhashya of Patanjali, which he had started with Pramadas Mitra in Varanasi. And because he was traveling, it got he had suspended it for some time, and now in K3 he found Pandit Narayan Das, and he continued his study of Mahabhashya. And a lot of scientific discussions, so many things happened in K3. And the Maharaja of K3 wanted a son. He asked Swami Vivekananda to bless him, and Swamiji blessed him that he will get a son. And then from there, Swamiji went to, he wanted to continue his journey. He went towards Gujarat and went to Ahmedabad, visited a lot of Jain temples, mosques, and then from there he went to Vadwan, Limbdi. And in Limbdi, there is an interesting thing happened. There were a sect of uh, sex worshippers he didn't know, and they looked like sannyasis. He thought he will stay with those sannyasis, and they were people who followed Vamachara. And knowing that there was a sannyasi who was a brahmachari who is here, they wanted to exploit uh, Swamiji's brahmacharya. They believed that they can get spiritual progress by such things. And when Swamiji came to know of it, like, he wanted to leave the place, but they had locked the place. But somehow Swamiji was able to send a message to the local police, and then the Thakur Sahib, like which is a local Thana, and then they came and they rescued Swamiji, and they told Swamiji never to make such mistakes of staying with strangers, and especially like so they gave a very nice instruction that you should always stay with householders, don't stay with unknown sannyasis or unknown ashrams. You don't know what is happening there. So that was an instruction given to him, and he had learned his lesson. And Swamiji went to Junagadh. So Junagadh, the king was a Muslim, but the Diwan was Hindu, and so he had a lot of discussions in Junagadh and then Bhuj, and where Swamiji discussed a lot of practical things. So wherever Swamiji goes, he learns like a lot of theory he had learned, he had studied, and by engaging with all these people, he learned a lot of practical things, how the world and everything. And he visited the ancient ruins of Veraval. Veraval is the Dwaraka, right? Like where where Krishna was there, the Dwaraka temple, Veraval, and then Somnath. And so he visited all these places. And then he went to Porbandar. Each of them were princely states. Even today, if you go to Gujarat and Rajasthan, you will find small old princely states with palaces and things. So he stayed in Porbandar, and there he studied, helped there. The Diwan was translating the Vedas, and he was helping them, and he also studied French there. And Swamiji was very good in French. He studied French here, and later also he studied French. And in fact, we will see later when he attended the Parliament of Religions in Paris. Like this was much later, like in 1900s, when he was invited to the Parliament of Religions in Paris, and there he gave talks in French. He knew enough French that he can give talks in conference. Amount of French Swamiji learned eventually. And so then visited Dwaraka, and so in Dwaraka looks like he visited the traditional Shankara Mat in Dwaraka, but in other places we don't see him visiting traditional matas. And there he met Swami Akhandananda, and then visited multiple places, and the Palitana Jain temples he visited, and then Baroda, Khandwa, and finally he reached Bombay. So this is the path he took. And how much time do we have? Yeah, 8:30 almost. Yeah, so I think we'll stop here. And so now from Bombay, then he would come to Pune, Belgaum, Mysore, Bangalore, then Kerala, and then finally reach Kanyakumari. So we will trace those paths next week. So we are halfway through his Bharat Parikrama. And I'm not going through too much of details, but if you look at the life of Swami Vivekananda, the original book, every place, dates, and whom he met, where he stayed, what discussions he had, because those people have, I told you about the book of Reminiscence of Swami Vivekananda. So all these people whom he met during these times, they have been met, and from them the early disciples of Swamiji, they have collected reminiscences from them. So from them, and many of them kept diaries, because they were all officials, divans, and pretty people in high positions. They usually kept diaries, and from their diaries they could pull back and trace back the life of Swamiji during these times. And in those diaries are also there, like what kind of conversations were there, what kind of topics were discussed, and they have given their reminiscences based on all that. And also, Swamiji used to write letters, and even all through his time, he used to write letters back to Baranagur Mutt, to his brother disciples, on where he is, whom he met, and instructions on spiritual life. So Swamiji wrote. He was very, very uh, profuse in writing letters, and so using those letters and using the reminiscences of all these people whom he met and their own diaries, from all these things, uh, all this life of Swamiji has been reconstructed and brought back. And full details you can see in the two volumes which I mentioned, which, and all these things, collecting all this information was done by Swami Virajananda and his team, Sadananda, Virajananda, Swarupananda, these people. We have all this information of how Swamiji went, where he went, etc., because of the work done by Virajananda. So, yeah, lot more details are there in the book. I'm just skipping through them just by mentioning the places and not mentioning the names too much. But the book contains full details of who, where, when, what was discussed, and lot of details about the topics discussed also. So, which I'm just skipping just for brevity. Okay. So, if you want more information, I would encourage you to read Reminiscence of Swami Vivekananda by his Eastern and Western admirers, and Life of Swami Vivekananda by his Eastern and Western disciples. Those are the two books where you can get the details about Swamiji's Bharat Parikrama. Okay, we'll stop here. Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. Om Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jai Ram Krishna, Jai Ram Krishna, Jai Ram Krishna.